if you want to buy a ticket, 5 million each and a limit of 2. Questions about the test. If you have a problem number you want to see worked out, tell me all the ones you want to see first that start with graph paper, the coordinate plane. And then once we go through those, I'll go through anything that starts off with polar coordinates. This is problem number what? 11. Problem number 11. 3, 2, and convert that to polar coordinates. We'll zoom in on this like so. Draw the triangle. This will be a right angle. And this is going to be 3. This is going to be 2. The first thing you have to do is find the value of r. You're going to find that by doing 3 squared plus 2 squared equals 9 plus 4, which is 13, but you must find the square root of 13. The square root of 13 comes out to be 3.6. That is the first thing that we find. Any questions on that? Then from there we have to find the value of theta, which in this case is one and the same as the angle inside the triangle, because it starts here at 0, opens up to here. That is theta. It is what you find in the first quadrant. To find that, you have to do inverse tangent of 2 over 3. So hit second tangent, 2 divided by 3, and you should come back with a degree measurement rounded to the nearest degree of 34. So we have 34 degrees, but we can't do anything with that yet because we have to change that. 34 degrees times pi over 180 starts off as this. When you cut it down in half, it's 17 pi over 90. Now don't forget the r value was 3.6. So the final answer is 3.6, comma, 17 pi over 90. Problem number 13. We go back 5 and then up 5. That should put you there. We'll zoom in on this. Draw out the triangle. And that's a right triangle. We went back 5, but that's still a positive 5 value for the side. And then we went up 5. You must find the value of r. Do that by doing 5 squared plus 5 squared equals r squared. That would be 25 plus 25 equals r squared. That's 50. And then find the square root of 50. And that should be 7.1 when you round. Any questions on finding the r? Okay, next you have to find the theta value. And remember, theta is going to be this all the way over to this. Finding this value in here only helps you to find that. When you find this value here, you're going to do what with it? This is a hint. This is 180. Subtract it from 180. Yes. So what we do to find that is inverse tangent of 5 over 5. So do inverse tangent, 5 over 5, and you come back with a value of 45. What you do from there is 180 minus 45 to come up with a value of 135. Now we have to change that 135 to radians. So 135 pi over 180. You can cut this down by 5s to start with and be left with pi on top and 36 on the bottom. 5 goes into 120 times and then into 35 7 times. So it should be 27 pi over 36, which reduces down to 3 pi over 4. Now don't forget that the r value was 7.1. So you would write 7.1, comma, 3 pi over 4. There we go. 225 pi over 180, and 15 goes into 225 15 times, and 15 into 180 12 times, but you can still reduce. 3 into 15 5 times, and into 12 4 times. So it's 5 pi over 4. To write your final answer, you need 8.5 to start with, and then 5 pi over 4. Problem number 2 from the test is 3 pi over 4. 3 pi over 4 and 2 is going to be there, so we'll have to zoom in on that. And we'll finish out the triangle. Now remember, it was 2. Actually, it's not 2. That's the problem number 2. The radius should be 4, and 3 pi over 4 is going to be here. And we'll zoom in and do the triangle for that. So this is 4, this is y, this is x. We have to solve for y and x in this case. And remember your formulas for finding y and x. For x, it's going to be r times the cosine of theta, which theta was indicated there. And then for y, we have y equals r times sine theta, with theta being here again. So for x, that's simply going to be 4 times, but now we have to figure out what the degree measurement is, and it's not too difficult on the polar graph paper. Since you have segments of 15 here, 1, 2, 3, 3 15s is 45. So that would be 45 degrees. 4 times cosine 45, and then 4 times sine 45. Okay, so cosine of 45 and then times 4, you're going to come out with a value of 2.8 when you round it. Now, since it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle, then what does the other side come out to be? 2.8. Alright. Now, since you're in the second quadrant, the signs are what? Negative, positive. Negative, positive. So you should have a negative 2.8 and then a positive 2.8. Problem number 3 from the test. 5 and 7 pi over 12 is going to show up right here. So we'll zoom in and draw out the triangle. Should go like this, and this. This is y, this is x. Now each one of those segments of the polar graph is 15 degrees. So if I have 15 here, take 15 away from 90. That means this is going to be 75. So to find x, you're going to do 5, which came from the r value. 5 cosine 75, and then for y, 5 sine 75. We'll go ahead and work those out. For cosine 75 times 5, you end up with 1.2. Not 1.2, it should be 1.3. And then for sine 75 times 5, that is 4.8. Now you're in the second quadrant, so what's the sign combination? Negative, positive. So x value is going to be negative. Negative 1.3 and then 4.8. Problem number 1 is 3 pi over 2. This is pi over 2. And 3 goes up to here. You can't make a triangle out of a straight line. So just think of this as the coordinate plane, rectangular coordinates. How far to the left or right do I have to move to get to this point here? Nothing. So it's 0. And how far up do I go? There's your answer. Problem number 5 from the test. 2 pi is right here. It's as if you've gone around one time. That would also be 4 pi, 6 pi, 8 pi, and so on. 6 is all the way out here. So if I were on the rectangular coordinate plane, how far to the right do I have to go to get there? How far up or down? That's your answer. Problem number 8 is 6 and 5 pi over 6. That would be there. We'll zoom in and draw out the triangle. Down here, over there, right triangle, y, x, and this r value is 6. It'll be x equals 6 times the cosine of what degree measurement? Should be 30 because you have 2 segments of 15 in there. And then y is 6 times sine 30. So cosine 30 times 6 is 5.2. And then sine 30 times 6 is 3. Now we're in the second quadrant, so the sign combination is minus plus. Therefore it's a negative 5.2 and then 3. Problem number 9 from the test, negative 2 and 5 pi over 3. 5 pi over 3 is down here, but since the radius is negative 2, you have to follow this back this way. And you're going to put it out here on 2, on that direction. So zoom in and draw this triangle. And that'll be a right angle. This is 2, that's y, that's x. So we would have to find x times, or x equals 2 times the cosine of what degree measurement? There's 2 outside of it, that's 30. It'd be 60. 2 cosine 60 and then 2 sine 60. Okay, so cosine 60 times 2 is going to be 1. And then sine 60 times 2 is 1.7. You're in the second quadrant, so that should be a negative 1 and 1.7. Now don't forget 30, 60, 90 triangle rules. This is a 30, 60, 90 triangle because if that's 60 here, this has to be 30. You know the hypotenuse, and the hypotenuse is twice the short leg. The short leg is opposite of the 30 degrees. So half of that would be 1, and that's what we came up with. And then of course this one would be square root of 3 times the short leg. So in this case it's just square root of 3. And the square root of 3 comes out to be 1.73205. So it would still be 1.7. It is in your best interest to remember things like this and not forget them, because when you're in a college class and they start going through stuff, they're not going to reteach 30, 60, 90. This is something you've already had from high school. So if you want to keep up to speed with everybody else in the class and the professor, it would be in your best interest to remember these things, because if you don't, you're going to be asking questions of everybody around you instead of staying on pace.